So I'm head of sales for a motor finance company called First Response Finance. I've been with the business for the last 12 years. First Response Finance itself is a Sunday Times Top 100 organisation. Have been for the last 6 to 7 years, which is something we obviously pride ourselves on very much. So if I was to summarise what my role is really, it's supporting and directing the team leaders, making sure that, or leading our team to making sure we're focused on the right things, we're focused on the right strategies to drive the business's performance and ultimately essentially make us the profitability that we can do. The other big part of my role really is the people side. So that's very much focused on succession planning from a leadership perspective, looking for progression into other roles for people, putting a lot of emphasis on to team leader development. I think it was more from ambition more than anything else. So at the time I was working for another financial services organisation, and I think when you're a sort of frontline member of staff, some people have the ambition to be a team leader or a leader, and that's exactly what I wanted to be, without really knowing what that actually meant. So I'd come for the interview at First Response Finance because I'd had quite a lot of background in financial services already. It was suggested to me that I could be a team leader in a certain period of time. Now, I joined First Response Finance, worked for them for about 4 months, had the aspiration and inside burning desire to be a leader, and then when the position became available, that's when I subsequently went for it, got it, and then thought, oh dear. And that was ultimately the journey that I went on, and then the real journey started there and then. So when you've managed large teams for a long number of years, really, essentially, which I have, the gut one is the frustration that you come up against. So frustration from low commitment, or my perceived low commitment of people.
Right.
So to paint a picture, I've got a high expectation, very good, strong mentality towards work, always have had. And if I come across team members or people that don't share that or don't perceive to have those same energy levels or even actually wanting to be in work, that's where you struggle, because you've got somebody that's, you can see has got a lot of potential, could really apply themselves, really do well and do a good job, but ultimately they might arrive late for work, or they may get involved in conversations in teams, or they may be doing things which aren't work related, or they might have high sickness levels. Just generally give you the perception that they don't actually want to be here. I think my experience of dealing with people like that is a lot of empathy and a lot of trying to understand their situation. Like I said earlier, it's easier said than done, but you've got to get on a level where you can have an adult to adult conversation, really understand them. And that's where you've got to really try and get some trust with that individual, get to a position where you can talk to them honestly and openly, and ultimately say, like, we're here to work, but we're here to work in a fun environment. I think the team leaders would say I have high standards, so I always want us to push to be the best. But I also think they'd say I'm supportive and I listen to them as well, so if they've got something they want to talk to me about, or they want some help, particularly with a task, they'd come to me and ask for my support or direction, and they know that I deliver on that. But overall, I think they'd say I'm a top guy. That you can't box people. You can't box people and essentially put them into a camp of they can't do it, or they're a no-hoper, or they're really struggling with things. And I had a particular example where that's exactly what I did do. Now luckily I came through the end of that situation, and it actually involved me attempting to put this person on disciplinary, the person going off on long-term sick for 3.5 months, calling a meeting with HR, between myself, HR director and this individual. The person was quite upset, quite frustrated, ended up shouting at me.
Wow.
And I just didn't understand at the time where I was and what I was doing to this individual. I thought that it was the person that was the issue and that she had to be dealt with. But ultimately, I think it was my leadership approach which was wrong, and ultimately my mindset. So, but if I had to say somebody that comes to mind, it'd be a leader at the start of my career.
Yeah.
Now this was when I was 21 years old. It was at the start of my financial services career. and it was a lady that was the head of the department that I worked in. So I was very young, she was very experienced in a very senior position within a large banking group. And she inspired me because she showed a lot of belief in me.
Right.
And I think she saw, I don't want to sound big-headed, but I think she saw a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And because of that, she matched that with a lot of belief. And she had nothing but support and praise, and also empowerment for what I could end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll use the example where when I first became a leader. So when I first became a leader, I thought I had all the answers and I could do that particular job. So to summarise, what I believe I would summarise leadership up is, as a leader, you've got to see personal development as your number one responsibility. To develop yourself and to get you to a position where you know and have some tools to do what you want to do. Now, when I first became a team leader, I thought I had that, but in reality I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go on that journey, that self-normative experience of learning that I needed to learn about leadership and how to be an effective leader, really. The second thing is, it's all right taking personal development as a key topic and ingraining that into yourself. You've got to do something with it. Now, that's one of the best pieces of advice I could give to anybody. You've got to do something. So I've used the development that I've utilised myself and learned to then embed that into all my leaders. I've used that to embed into succession planning leaders, and also to use the material with my sales force, which makes it even more powerful.
So, just thanks very much indeed for your time. It's been really fascinating talking to you this morning.
No problem.
Thank you very much indeed.
No problem, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers.